Hello everyone, and welcome to my final portfolio presentation for TWC 411. My name is TMiranda, and I'm a technical communications major with a focus on digital content. This class was my first official course involving Illustrator, and though I had a little practice going in, everything was still pretty new to me. As I reflect back on our assignments within this course, several design theories stand out as being influential in my designs. I relied heavily on Gestalt theory, as I used its principles of proximity, continuity, common region, and focal point to group and arrange my designs to establish a visual hierarchy. I also used ecological perception as I was creating my page designs to provide the navigational cues so that users could easily recognize what to do. Besides visual design theories, I used theories related to visual culture and rhetoric, using specific wording, color, and images to convey messages within my designs as well. For our class, we were given 3 graphic design projects to develop throughout the course. The first graphic design project we were given was to create a personal identity logo using our initials. Right away, I knew I wanted to use all 3 of my initials, as I like to be different, and I thought I could create something interesting using the double M's. As I started to sketch, I realized that I didn't want any of my designs to be enclosed. I'm mildly claustrophobic, and so I wanted everything to be simply lined and open. Some key elements for me were representing movement, growth, and balance in each design, as that represents me in my life and career right now. For my roughs, I sketched elongated lines, created scales, established balance with symmetrical lines, and angled lines upward to represent these elements. I also incorporated my fun and spooky side, as you can see from designs 2, which looks a bit like a spider, and 7, with the ghost and the pumpkin. Based on feedback from fellow students and Dr. Harris, I refined my comps to designs 5, 6, and 7 shown here. My favorite concept was this design, number 7, as it showed movement, incorporated my personality, and was a nod to my small business. However, after some discussion, I decided to go with a more neutral design that still displayed the key elements I desired. Here is my updated logo with minor touch-ups to make it look bolder and more refined. My ideation process focused on balance, and to do so I needed to align each element to another while still showing growth, with a long line represented in the T. Knowing the meaning of color, I chose shades and hues of my favorite color, purple, to represent a youthful feel with a touch of fantasy. I then added my name to the logo using the souvenir typeface to mimic the lines and weight of my logo, while being slightly rounded to provide contrast to the sharp edges of my design. I feel that this logo captures my essence, and I am very proud of this design. In the second graphic design project, we were tasked to create a black and white newsletter incorporating our new personal identity logo and photo. We were also to include 2 articles pertaining to our career aspirations and how visual communications affects our lives. For this assignment, I really wanted to work on contrast and typography to make the text and visuals stand out, especially since we were not using color. My ideation process for the newsletter was I wanted a clean and professional looking document with visuals helping to frame the text. My whole newsletter uses typography and shapes to not only establish that visual hierarchy to guide your eye along the page, but also to provide balance to the document. I used the figure ground principle and contrast of dark on light to make the title stand out on top of the square, and chose the Castellar font, as it is a strong weighted font to draw attention to the top of the page. While I focused on contrast and typography, I also utilized each of the design principles to create the look I wanted for this newsletter. I used proximity to group graphics and text together, and alignment to place titles and content so that the page looked unified. As you can see, the title is not centered, as I wanted a more sophisticated looking alignment. I used repetition in my use of Constantina typeface for the body of each of my articles and Calibri Light for the article headings. Here is the final design for my newsletter, created with different shades and tones of purple and blue to complement one another, as well as convey trustworthiness and wisdom with a youthful feel. Purple and blue are analogous colors and work well when placed together, so I knew that they would best represent me and my color scheme. I chose to use white lettering with shading on darker backgrounds to emphasize my headlines and provide better contrasts. I also arranged my newsletter to feel more evenly balanced by properly aligning text and shapes. For the last design project, we were asked to find a website page that was lacking in design and could use improvement. This proved to be difficult at first, but eventually I was able to locate a local bookstore's website that could stand to be updated. Here is the Antigone Books website. It is a small feminine bookshop that has been in business since the 70s and is transitioning into new ownership. My ideation process for the website revolved around helping the new owners update their website for a modern audience while still representing their core values. The 6 rough sketches I created were of the home page for both computer and website viewing. Sketching these ideas, I tried to focus on updating their content, and I really focused on creating a new logo to go with the new, simple layouts as it looked outdated. I pulled inspiration from the Greek mythological character Antigone, which the store is named after, and created the new logo in Photoshop with strong lines and a classical feel. The layout types I sketched are Mondrian, picture window, and silhouette, as I thought Antigone's website could utilize these best. For my comps, narrowing down the designs were difficult, but I settled on these 3, which each provided a different layout for the homepage, using the Mondrian and picture window layouts. Honestly, I was unhappy with how each of the color schemes turned out for the layouts, because they were not conveying the modern and trustworthy tone I was looking for. However, I decided to choose the first design that included the new logo with shades of blue and purple for my final design. I could see that it was an improvement to the original homepage, but I knew I could do better. To create the final webpage redesign, I had to look at Antigone Books and their current owners. Pulling from their aesthetic of youthful retro, but modern, I took my current design and simplified the colors, but added in white. I pulled a picture of one of their book displays and made it a prominent element of the page. I relocated the menu to the top of the page for better navigational access and centered the logo and name over the image of books to make it a focal point of the design. For the typefaces, I kept Bernard Condensed for the title, as it is a classic bookstore typeface, but used Acumen Pro for the body and headlines to make the page look more modern. To color the homepage, I used a white base, added lighter blue and purple shades with pops of green to create a split complement color palette. This worked to breathe new life into the design and represent the new youthful and bright ownership while still looking trustworthy. I kept most of the body text flush left to improve readability and used contrast to highlight headlines. As with my newsletter, I used proximity to group graphics and text together and alignment to place titles and content so the page looked unified and balanced. Here is a comparison of the original homepage and of my redesign. I'm happy with how far I have come in such a short time in regards to my design choices. I look forward to the future as I intend to practice more with color theory and typography to convey emotions and messages. Thank you for watching.